Hello and welcome to Bread and Thread, a podcast about food and domestic history. I'm Liz.
And I'm Hazel. We are two friends who studied history together. And no, that's not right. We studied archaeology together and we love history. I'm drinking today.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Blackberry Wine. It's my my inaugural wine from last year, my first time ever. I decided to open a bottle now to see if it had matured any better. Because I tried it a few months ago when its 6 months were up. And it was okay, but I think it's better now. I reckon I can do better next time, but it's certainly drinkable, which is what I am doing.
You're going down the Liam Perrins route of just keep trying it until it tastes good.
Yeah, I'm doing this for science. Oh, you might be interested in actually what I was going to talk about for this bit was on Sunday I went out and collected some nettles.
Oh.
And they are now retting in my back garden. So that's the process of breaking down the outside of the nettle in order to extract the fibres inside. And then when that's done, I'm going to try and spin those fibres and make a nettle thing.
I imagine the retting process is a lot more sophisticated than when I made nettle string at the Young Archaeologists Club.
How did you do that?
Bashed it with a rock.
I'll do it.
I mean, it did work. You bash it with a rock, and then you twist it up a bunch, and then it's string.
Yeah.
It worked. I still have like a miniature hand axe that I made somewhere.
That is a very you sentence, and it's amazing.
When I say miniature, I do mean like 3 inches. But I do separately also have a hand axe that I did at a flint knapping workshop. So I'm like 2/3 of the way to an actual hand axe.
3 hand axes in a trench coat. So yeah, nettles are going to happen. I think the process is the retting process breaks it down more so that you get the fibres separated more so that they're kind of softer and more like garmenty. Incidentally, I very conveniently made friends with a professional weaver, which is like the best job ever.
Oh.
And she lent me some shawls and jackets and things that were made in Nepal from Nepalese nettles, which are really, really long, tall. So they have long fibers, and yeah, they're amazing. And I really want to try it and like recreate one. So I'll put some pictures of those on the Twitter.
I'm very excited to see this.
Yeah. And what about you?
I've been continuing my thing of cooking a meal from a random country every week or so.
That sounds like a good thing.
It's great. I made if I'm saying it right, which I'm probably not, chashu.
Ooh.
The the pork dumplings that you get in dim sum a lot.
Oh my goodness, I've never had those, but I have seen pictures of them, and
it was so good. I'm being told that chashu is just the meat, and what I made was chashu bao.
Ah.
The bao is the bun.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's the fluffy bun thing, right?
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
And I also made paprika, which is like a Hungarian chicken stew. I did mess up a little bit because I picked up the jar of red powder and I put a ton in, and then I saw that it was chili powder and not paprika.
How much chili powder did you put in this?
A couple tablespoons. about half a tablespoon proportion.
That's that's a lot of spicy red powder.
Luckily, I then put in a lot of sour cream, so it ended up like definitely spicier than I think was intended. Ooh. But really nice.
Okay.
And I did put paprika in as well, obviously.
Of course. Just in case you needed some more red.
Well, I mean, based on the name, I'm assuming paprika is quite important to paprikash.
Mm-hmm.
Just at a guess. I don't know Hungarian, but I feel like there's a good chance.
I think Hungarian food involves a lot of paprika.
Generally, yeah.
I mean, for good reason, it's delicious.
I love paprika. We got smoked paprika.
Oh.
The best kind.
Everything is better smoked.
Sweet paprika, don't at me.
So, what are we learning about this week?
So, I started looking at Trifle, just as a kind of, oh, that could be a fun local larder thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I fell in a wiki hole.
You fell in a never-ending hole of trifle.
I did. I was engulfed by custard.
You
Screams.
trifled too much.
I did.
One could say even it was not a trifling research hole.
But should one?
Maybe not.
So, the main thing I learned is that we've been eating sweetened cream for a very long time.
Okay.
With such beautiful names as whim-wham and flummery.
I've heard of a flummery.
Yeah, a flummery is kind of a set custard.
Okay.
Which, like trifle, also just means sort of, it's like a dismissal thing. Specifically, flummery is like insincere flattery.
That is great. That is fantastic. I'm going to start using that. Anytime someone like gives me an insincere compliment, I'm just going to say, I don't need your flummery.
So yeah, there's flummery, whim-wham, syllabub, which I think is probably more well-known than whim-wham and flummery. Which sounds like a children's show.
It does, whim-wham and flummery.
But the earliest reference to a food called a trifle is from 1598.
That's quite old.
Or possibly 1585. It depends on how exactly you're defining trifle. There's one calls it a kind of clouted cream called a fool or a trifle in English.
Okay.
Which fool is sort of a yogurty, creamy fruit dessert.
Yeah, I understand a fool to be fruit puree mixed with cream, essentially.
Yeah, that's a fairly good definition, I think.
Okay.
Whereas the earlier trifle is cream flavored with sugar, ginger, and rose water.
Oh, that sounds good.
So it's I think a bit more in the sort of custardy realm.
So it was originally kind of like a custard without all the biscuits and things.
Yeah, it's basically an eggless custard. Yeah, just sort of a sweetened cream. We don't add jelly until Hannah Glass, who we've come across before in the 18th century. Which seems to be sort of, you've got the rise of ice houses. So it's a lot easier to actually have a jelly dessert.
Yeah, so you can.
You need to refrigerate that.
Yeah, you gotta keep your jelly cool.
There's some absolutely gorgeous illustrations of trifles actually in Mrs. Beaton.
Oh,
including one that's just stacked with fresh fruit on top, which looks absolutely gorgeous.
yes. Can we have a trifle picture on the page?
We definitely can.
Excellent.
One thing that I'm actually struggling to find is when we started putting cake in.
Okay.
So there's a Scottish version known as a tipsy laird.
I like it already.
A Southern American version called a tipsy cake, and an Italian version called zuppa inglese, which just means English soup. Which
That's
all
fair.
seem to have the cake soaked in either some sort of alcohol, generally a rum, or in the Scottish version, like a whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely a trend of soaking the actual cake in jelly, which there's some speculation that it's basically Victorians using up leftover stale sponge cake.
That sounds like a thing they would do.
Which, I mean, is very... It's not really what you think of when you think of Victorian food. You think of this, I mean, or even trifle generally. It's this big elaborate thing with lots of creaminess in it, and it's like...
Yeah,
Well,
I guess you do think like in a crystal dish when you can see all the layers with loads of fruit on top.
Interestingly, you also get sherry used in the cake a lot in the Victorian era, which seems to be sort of the accepted way of doing it now.
Okay, yeah, sherry trifle is kind of the standard now.
But trifle definitely came back, as a lot of questionable food choices did, I think, once refrigerators became a common thing. So we're talking sort of 50s through to 70s. There was basically this explosion in the popularity of trifles, to the point that in the 70s it was considered cliche to serve your guests trifle.
A trifle explosion.
And I just
Wonderful.
find this specific date of sort of trifle overload in the 70s interesting, because Angel Delight was released in 1967.
Really?
Yeah. For people who don't know, which is pretty much going to be anyone who isn't British, Angel Delight is a sort of powdered blancmange.
Yeah, it's like a flavored custard, like instant one.
Yeah. I realize blancmange probably isn't a hugely helpful descriptor.
I mean, it's not.
Kind of like an American pudding.
Yeah, it is like an American pudding, which is a custard, right?
It's somewhere between a custard and a mousse, from what I can gather.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of
It's an
describes.
accurate description of Angel Delight.
Yeah, that's Angel Delight. I've always hated it.
I love Angel Delight, but it basically, in just a few years from its release, it doubled the value of the instant dessert market.
Wow.
Which is impressive. And was actually advertised by Wallace and Gromit.
Really?
In 1999. There was an advertising campaign kind of trying to bring it back, because people were kind of losing interest in it by this point. You know, it was almost 2000. We don't really want instant blancmange anymore.
Oh, Angel Delight is so 20th century.
But it's coming back. It's currently sold in 5 different flavors.
Okay.
Including 2 sugar-free ones.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was coming back as like a nostalgia thing.
Oh, there's definitely a nostalgia factor, I think.
It just reminds me of school dinner desserts, though.
See, one of the schools I went to had food so bad that it put me off the idea of most foods. But what they did have was chocolate angel delight with hundreds and thousands on.
I guess it's difficult to get that wrong.
Yeah. So it was just kind of, you eat the mushy vegetables, the weird potatoes with
the
brown
watery
bits.
gravy.
Yeah. And then you get a bowl of chocolate with sugar on top, is basically what that is.
Nutritious fuel for your learning.
But with it being so custardy as well, I have seen people suggesting using it as an ice cream base.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which is something I plan to try next week. I'm getting some butterscotch angel delight, and I'm gonna try and make it into ice cream.
Wow.
So I will let you know next episode how that goes.
That is true experimentation.
So we kind of come back around to Trifle through Angel Delight.
Okay.
Because one of the sort of serving suggestions for Angel Delight is layers of different flavors.
Ah, so you buy more Angel Delight.
I mean, probably. But also it sort of comes back to that concept of a layered sweet cream dessert.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, just the whole Angel Delight concept really is bringing it all the way back to things like flummery and syllabub, where it's
Wow.
just, here is a bowl of sweet cream with a flavor in it.
Are you saying Angel Delight is hipster trifle?
You know what? I wasn't, but now I am. And also, I kind of want some Angel Delight now.
I feel like I could maybe handle it in a trifle. It's the texture that I didn't like. The kind of thick, like soupy sweetness. So if there were layers of cake and stuff in between, I could probably handle it.
Or possibly as an ice cream. We'll see how my experiment goes.
Good luck.
It's the 28th of July now. My Angel Delight is coming with my Asda order on the 1st of August.
Okay.
So we will see.
I look forward to the missions reports.
And I promise there won't be any flummery in my description.
I hope there's no whim-wham either.
Oh, heaven forfend.
Whim-wham in this podcast?
So yeah, that is the results of my Trifle wiki hole.
That was fantastic. I enjoyed that dive into Trifle.
Oh, that sounds unpleasant.
No, it doesn't. I'd love to dive into a giant Trifle.
But all I can think of is that gif where someone fills a crock with shaving foam and then puts their foot in and it just comes out of all the holes. That's all I can think of.
Why would you bring that up? That's the most uncomfortable image I've ever seen. We have to post this to the Twitter now, don't we? Just for context.
I suppose so.
Well done, Liz.
It's okay to have it saved on my computer for the specific purpose of making our D&D group uncomfortable.
It works.
Hello.
Can I change the subject?
I think you probably should.
Can I talk about Perry?
Okay.
Okay.
I promise not to bring up shaving foam.
Thanks. That's good of you. So, for local larder this week, I am going to talk a little bit about Perry, which is not a member of Little Mix. It is a form of alcohol made from pears, or as it's often known these days, pear cider, which is a controversial term. So I'll get into that in a bit.
Oh, this is bringing us back to one of our very early episodes, isn't it? Where you talked about fruit wines.
I think it is indeed. And I think I can clear up a bit from there when I remember you were asking me about the difference between a wine and a cider.
I was.
So a cider, as it turns out, is fermented using the natural yeast that are on the skin of the fruit, whereas a wine has yeast added to it.
Okay, so if you were trying to make a cider and added some yeast to make it go faster, you've technically made wine.
I guess, yeah. And it's slightly debatable whether or not perry is a fruit wine or a cider. But cider is kind of a fruit wine anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It's all delicious.
It's all alcoholic fruit juice.
Yeah, essentially. So alcohol has been made from pears since Roman times, at least. It's mentioned in Pliny's writings. But Pliny, I guess I should say. I apologize to any ancient Romans who listen to this podcast. So there is a saying in the 3 counties of Worcestershire, I think it's Gloucestershire, Herefordshire and Worcestershire. And the saying is, plant pears for your heirs, which I like. And it means that if you're going to plant pear trees or a pear orchard, you better be ready for your children to maintain it, because pear trees take up to 30 years to mature and bear fruit, which is much longer than apple trees or cider trees, which might account for the decline in popularity of perry. Also because pears have to be hand harvested. You can't get a machine to pick pears because they're so easily bruised. So that obviously drives up the labour cost, and you can't really get day labour, agricultural labour anymore, at least in most of Europe. So yeah, it's more expensive to harvest, takes longer to mature, and also perry pears are not really edible. So what the pear that makes the best perry is not the pear that you can eat, unfortunately. So that means that you would have to have an orchard that's dedicated to just perry pears, and that's your income from that orchard.
Do you know, since you mentioned Worcestershire, if the black Worcester pear, the symbol of the county, is that... Presumably that's a perry pear.
I did not know that, but that would make sense, because apparently there's a lot of varieties of perry pears in Worcestershire and in those 3 counties. And it's a drink that was often made there. I'm
going to have to find out.
Yeah. So those are some of the reasons that perry isn't so popular today, although it is kind of coming back with the whole real ale and real cider movement.
Yep, it is a culinary pear.
It
does not truly ripen.
Interesting. I guess that's a cider pear or a perry pear then.
Can also be used in pear pies.
But
I've never come across a pear pie, so I'm assuming that its primary use is
I mean,
perry.
I've had the odd pear crumble. That's pretty good.
Oh, sorry, I've just seen that there is a reference in Winter's Tale to pies made out of Worcester pears.
Really?
Warden pies.
Ooh. That sounds
pretty... for interrupting, but my dad's from Worcester, so it was interesting to me.
Good interruption. Shakespeare's always a good interruption. Well, usually. So, perry pears, not great to eat, and dessert pears apparently don't make very good perry. Apparently some perry pears are... Well, there's one variety that will actually burn the inside of your mouth.
Oh, wow.
Which is unexpected. You can imagine being the kid scrumping that pear.
You wouldn't do it twice.
Yeah, you would not. So apparently there was a brief revival of pear-based alcohols in the 1960s with Babycham.
Babysham's Perry?
Babycham is Perry. Yeah. In fact, before I went to research that, I found out because I mentioned what I was going to talk about to my mum. And she said that, yeah, Babycham is a pear drink. Apparently it's not like exactly perry, it's more sugary. It's like a sparkling sugary drink made from pears. But essentially it's, a pear alcohol. And yeah, it was rebranded as this glamorous 1960s drink that came in a champagne glass, and had blue foil on the tops of the bottles. And apparently my grandparents would have it at Christmas. And my mum also told me that my mum and my uncle would buy a flagon of cider for my great grandfather at Christmas, which is a great present. Yeah, so Babycham is kind of a pear cider. Less popular today. It's kind of a 60s thing. But what is quite popular today is flavoured ciders. Like the Recorderlig or the I can't remember any other brands, but
Bulmers do them, I think.
Yeah, they do. So those are debatable. This is where the controversy comes in. Yeah. So
tell me everything.
I'll give you all the gossip. All the Perry gossip.
Spill the Perry.
Well, it's mostly like an argument between Camera and the cider trade industry. Now, Camera, if you don't know, is the Campaign for Real Ale. I can't remember what it all stands for, but it's the campaign for like promoting real ale, which was quite big in the 90s, early 2000s, but it's happened now. Like real ale's back. We did do it. But I love Camera controversy because it's always so petty and it's amazing. So Camera dispute the term pear cider to refer to drinks made from concentrate. So those fruity ciders made by like Recorderlig and Bulmers and those kinds of things, they are made from concentrate, not from actual fruit juice. So they'll get the concentrate, they'll make it up with water, and then they'll ferment it and make the drink. And they'll often add apple juice or something.
This does feel overly pedantic to me.
Oh yeah.
Concentrate is basically how they make it last and ship it better.
It is. Yeah.
I'm against Camera on this.
I'm kind of on the fence because on the one hand, I think Perry, I guess, does refer to, if you're going to call it a Perry, it probably does refer to the traditional method, like the actual fermented fruit juice. But that doesn't mean that pear ciders or like fruit ciders aren't good. I guess it just refers to the way that they're made. Although I guess I tend to just use pear cider interchangeably with Perry because it's kind of the same thing, really. It's just a difference in the way that they're made. But if you're looking for a real ale type thing, I guess Perry would be the one to go for. But sometimes it's a nice summer day and you just want like a passion fruit cider or something, which is tasty. Don't get me wrong.
I do enjoy the strawberry and lime alcohol-free cider, which I guess is just juice.
Oh, sparkling juice, yeah.
But it's very nice.
But yeah, definitely. Tasty.
I think that's Copperberg?
Oh, Copperberg, that's the other one I was trying to think of. And actually, given that the popularity is coming back, which, I mean, maybe that's a good point in the favour of fruity ciders, because they're bringing back the desire for that kind of thing. So maybe it's getting people back into perry as well. So people are trying to revive the old varieties of perry pear. Apparently there are at least 100 varieties that are still extant, and they have fantastic names. For example, Late Treacle, Merrylegs, Mumblehead, Lumberskull, Huffcap, Longford, and Stinking Bishop.
Three
And that
of
is
these
how
just sound like ways to describe someone who's had too much perry.
they do. You Lumberskull. You Huffcap. Apparently that is how Stinking Bishop cheese is made as well. And they wash it in that variety of juice.
Huh. I wonder if they go together.
Ooh. That would be interesting. Nice cheese board with a glass of perry. So yeah, there you go. That is a wild and wonderful dip into perry.
I was not expecting so much controversy.
It is a bitter dispute.
Bread and Thread bringing you all of the hot gossip from the world of fermented fruit drinks.
The stories you really need to know.
So we hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to suggest an episode or a local larder, you can email breadandthreadpodcast@gmail.com.
You can also find us on Twitter @breadandthread. And we have a Patreon of the same name where you can find instructional videos, recipes, chat servers, and all sorts of good stuff.
So we will see you next time.